The iPhone 8 came out in late 2017 and was sold for about 2.5 years before being discontinued in the April of 2020. It has been replaced with the all-new iPhone SE, which is basically the same phone, but with upgraded specs. Hey, how's it going? I'm Josh from 91 Tech, and today we're talking about the life and death of the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. Now obviously the iPhone 8 isn't dead in that it's unsupported or obsolete or anything like that. It's simply no longer being sold on Apple's website. This is a fun form of clickbait, if you want to call it clickbait, we've been doing on my channel for a couple years now, where we look at the life and death of a certain phone that's been discontinued by Apple. In this case, of course, the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. Believe it or not, the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus were actually once the best iPhones around, but only for about a month. This is because the iPhone 10 was originally delayed and didn't come out until November, whereas the 8 released on the normal date. The 8 and 8 Plus have the same specs as the iPhone 10, but retain the home button and general iPhone 6 design. It was meant to be cheaper than the 10, as well as be more appealing for those who didn't like the change and would prefer to stick with what they know. And there's nothing wrong with that, which is the big reason the iPhone 8 has been my go-to recommendation for an iPhone for a long time. Although, of course, it's not anymore. Why isn't it my go-to recommendation anymore? Well, firstly, Apple's no longer selling it, so that goes without saying. But mostly, it's because the new iPhone SE is a killer phone for a better price. It's basically an iPhone 8 with the A13 chip for $400. What's not to like? And what's kind of funny is right up to the end of the iPhone 8's life, it was being sold for $450, and the 8 Plus was going for $550. So the iPhone SE actually lowered the price, which is kind of crazy. I'd actually say since the iPhone 11 came out, the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus haven't really been worth buying, simply because they were a little bit overpriced. $450 for the smaller 8, not great, and $550 for the 8 Plus, really not great when you consider that the 10R was only $600, so for $50 more you're getting a pretty big improvement. But now the SE is $400 and that's all fixed, and if an SE Plus comes out by any chance later this year, as some rumors have said, then we're probably looking at $500 for that, which also makes quite a bit of sense. While the iPhone 8 wasn't a good deal for the last 6 months of its life, for the rest of its tenure it was always one of, if not the most popular iPhone being sold. You see these iPhones everywhere, and that probably won't change anytime soon thanks to how long Apple supports their devices for. I'd estimate the iPhone 8 will get updates until at least late 2022, which is a solid 5 years since the 8's launch, which seems to be the established minimum for iOS updates. Now I know I've said this before, but if you go back to 2017 when the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus came out, its biggest competition at the time, besides the iPhone 10, was the Galaxy S8 and Note 8. Both of those phones already are not getting updates, so they're stuck on Android 9. They don't have Android 10. That's crazy to me that the Note 8 and Galaxy S8, phones that most probably would have considered to be better than the iPhone 8 at the time, are already left in the dust when it comes to support. The iPhone 8 might be discontinued, but again, it's not unsupported or even close to obsolete. The iPhone 8 and 8 Plus started as the cheaper options to the iPhone 10, but they didn't actually make very many concessions. They basically had the same cameras and specs, but with an LCD screen that doesn't look nearly as good, and of course the old design. This old design includes the home button with Touch ID, which I know a lot of people actually prefer over Face ID, although I personally don't fall into that camp. But I get it, Touch ID is great and it works really well. Only problems come when you're wearing gloves or have wet hands or something. With the iPhone 8 we got wireless charging, which meant we got a glass back instead of the aluminum seen on the iPhone 6, 6S, and 7. I'd argue the iPhone 8 is basically the perfective version of the iPhone 6, although now I'd correct that and say the 2020 SE is basically the perfected version, as I do like the centered Apple logo. But in the very least, the 8 Plus right now is still the best designed Plus iPhone Apple's ever made, for the moment. So we know the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus are still supported, but how do they actually hold up in 2020? Now I've done a video on this, of course, although I might update it now that the iPhone SE has come out, or is coming out pretty quick here. I have to say, honestly, they do pretty well. These are phones that still run very fast, you know, with 2 and 3 gigs of RAM depending on whether or not you get the Plus model, and the A11 chip is no slouch. That thing still has a ton of power, and honestly both of the phones are still very capable. Camera-wise, the iPhone 8 had basically what the iPhone 10 had. The telephoto lens in the 8 Plus isn't stabilized, but otherwise they're the same. And actually these were the first iPhones that could do 4K 60, so interesting fact there. It was very impressive for 2017, and even now I don't think the Pixel 4 can even do 4K 60 for some reason, so yeah. If you're using an iPhone 8 or 8 Plus right now, I'm happy to say that your phone is still pretty darn good. Yes, an upgrade to the iPhone SE might be nice, but you probably don't need it yet. Your phone isn't dead, as much as my title might make you think otherwise. It just is discontinued, and so yes, the SE is going to be an improvement, but don't think the 8 is a bad phone simply because Apple discontinued it. And if you're on the 8 Plus and you go to the iPhone SE, you might be disappointed with the smaller size. So again, there are rumors an SE Plus could be coming later this year, but otherwise, right now, the 8 Plus is still great, so you might as well hold on to it. And for all you bargain hunters out there, the price of the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus is going to probably go down a bit now that it's no longer being sold, so that's something to watch out for. Carriers might put them on clearance, people might start selling them more on eBay, that kind of thing. So that's always something to keep in mind if you're on something even older. But yeah, I'm pretty much done here. Honestly, there wasn't a ton to talk about. I just wanted to kind of discuss the iPhone 8 a little bit about it. It's kind of one of those forgotten iPhones a little bit because the iPhone 10 overshadowed it so greatly. I mean, the iPhone 10 at the time was something Apple needed. It's something people needed. It was changed in the smartphone market finally. And the iPhone 8 wasn't. It was something people were familiar with, which I think ultimately led to better sales, but obviously wasn't as exciting for articles and headlines, so you probably never saw it as much. Do you have an iPhone 8 right now? How's it working for you? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video interesting, maybe hit that like button and consider subscribing for more content just like this. You can follow me over on Twitter and Instagram at 91_tech if you'd like to for some reason. And we also have a Discord server you should come check out if you have Discord. Thanks again for watching. I'm Josh from 91 Tech, and I will see you all next time.